Recording. Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great week. This is Patty Minglin, and I'm back with our Go Girl Leadership Project. Our featured leader of the week is the other half of Campbell Long. We talked to Joanna several weeks ago, and now we're talking to Cindy Campbell. Cindy, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Patty. I'm excited to be
So
here.
just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I am a lawyer, the other partner in Campbell Long, and I specifically focus on estate planning, so wills and trusts and special needs trusts and all that kind of stuff. And I also do collaborative family law and mediation.
Oh, great. Yeah, that is something I think a lot of people might not really know about mediation. Can you just do like a brief little, like, what's the difference between mediation and just going through regular counsel for a divorce?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So in mediation, I'm a neutral third party who's meeting with both parties to help them work together to reach a settlement. And then, the settlement being like division of assets and debts and all that kind of stuff, and also support and maintenance. But also, if there's kids involved, I'm helping them develop that parenting plan. So working out child support and also visitation schedule and that kind of stuff. So in mediation, again, I'm like I said, a neutral third party who's I like it because I can just openly communicate with both parties, and we're all meeting together, to work together in creating those agreements, versus instead of using attorneys to help negotiate those agreements.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for just clarifying that, because I think some people might not understand. And I love the idea of, I don't love the idea of divorce. Don't get me wrong about that. But if you find yourself in that position, and especially when you have kids, I love the idea that it's taking care of the whole family, which I know is something you guys are very big about, and making sure the whole family is healthy through this process.
Absolutely. That's absolutely why I do collaborative divorce and mediation, because I just wholeheartedly believe in the process, and there's a lot more to factor in when people are going through a divorce other than just the legal side of it, right? It's the emotions and the children and how everyone is going to be able to transition into the next phase of their life, really, after this divorce is finalized. So thanks. Yeah, that's why I do it.
I think that's really great. And I also love that you guys are always promoting, like, you have an area in your office where there's toys. So if you have to bring the kids with you, or you guys will do, I know, video conferencing, and it's just such a blessing to working parents and trying to manage those kind of schedules when kids are involved. So you guys do a great job of that. So
Thanks,
you're
Patty.
a lawyer. Which is
I am.
awesome. And entrepreneur. It's so funny because when I read your blog post that you wrote for us, you talk about, as a child, you really had this entrepreneurial spirit at such a young age. Like, you were trying to, for those of you that haven't read it, you have to go to the website and read it, because it's hysterical. Like, selling your books to your neighbors and cream on hot days. Like, you seem to always have this little part of you that wanted to be an entrepreneur, which you are as an adult. But how did you even get into law? Like, what was it that made you think, this is an industry or a branch that I'd like to get into?
So that's interesting, actually. That's interesting because I kind of fell into it, and I created a practice and a niche that fit me. So in undergrad, I was a philosophy major, and I used to love studying ethics and different philosophies. And then out of undergrad, I actually worked in hospice for a little while. So I saw kind of firsthand how not having certain estate planning documents like healthcare powers of attorney and living wills can really tear apart families. So I started getting kind of interested in that. And also being a philosophy major, there's not a ton of jobs out there for philosophy majors.
Really?
So I decided to, shocking, right? 21 and making really smart, sound decisions at that point as far as my major. But it landed me into law school.
I totally get it.
So I ended up going into law school, and I knew, and I had worked in hospice for a little bit, and then one of my first jobs in law school was working at an estate planning firm, and I realized I really like this. I like the idea of helping people, and not hurting people. And then in law school, as I was going through it, I started taking these mediation classes, and I got training in that. And then out of law school, I had this entrepreneurial bug, but I thought, where do I really fit? And a lot of the jobs when I graduated anyway were, I graduated in 2008. There were not a lot of jobs out there then, and most of them were with high litigation firms. And I knew that was just not me. It didn't fit with my personality. And also I kind of wanted to use the law and all this knowledge to help people. And so I decided to create my own business doing that and finding this niche. And I had this vision that I would help families and I would make it comfortable, like you were saying, like having toys in the office, and we have snacks and, crayons and coloring books. And, I wanted families to feel comfortable, and I would not just meet with them 9 to 5. I would meet with them after hours, and I would do FaceTime and Skype. So if it was easier to meet with me at that point, they wouldn't, coming to see me or going to see a lawyer wouldn't be a stressful thing. I wanted to make it approachable, and transparent and comfortable, so that people understood why they were coming to see me, the value in coming to see me. And then also tying it into as well, all my training and the areas of practice that I felt that I could most benefit others with.
That's a great story. And I think that's, when you talk to specifically female entrepreneurs, a lot of times they go into it because they're filling a need for themselves. They don't see what out there, what they really want to be doing. And so they create that. And by doing that, you're helping all these people. And you're right. I mean, both you and your partner are always seeing people during times that aren't necessarily the best of times. And to be able to make them feel comfortable during that is really important. And it's why it's such a good niche for you to be in.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the whole idea. I realize that, again, when people are coming to see me, if maybe they just lost someone, right? And we're opening an estate for them, or they're going through a divorce, they're potentially seeing me at some of the worst points in their life, and really being mindful that, for one, being honored that they are trusting you enough to help them through this difficult time in their life. And then being, again, mindful of what they're going through, and, giving them information and just being transparent about, this is the whole process and these are the fees and all of that. So they feel more comfortable knowing what they're getting into. And
that's so good. And I think, and this kind of leads to our next question, because one of the other pluses of female entrepreneurship is sometimes you get into it. I know this was why I got into entrepreneurship. It allowed me to manage my own personal life better, as being specifically being a mom. So I hate to use the word work-life balance, because I don't think it's ever truly balanced ever for anyone, kids or no kids. But what are some of the biggest challenges that you found when you are juggling motherhood and running a business?
I would say you hit it spot on, and that would be the whole idea of balance. It's not really a challenge for me as much anymore, but definitely when I was starting, I think I had this vision in my head that everything should be 50-50 all the time, right? Like I was going to work, and then I'd come home and I'd still have dinner on the table, and, my kids would be happy and just like go to bed and brush their teeth like they should, and, all of that. And then my sisters actually were really good and helped me in realizing that balance doesn't always mean 50-50. And now I think, what's really nice about having a business is that I now realize that getting my kids even out the door in the morning is one of the hardest parts of my day every day. And it's true, though. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and just getting them to brush their teeth and put on new underwear and all that stuff is a challenge.
I have a junior in high school that I still have to remind to brush his teeth every single day. So,
well,
Settle in.
That gives me no hope then, Patty. But so now, with the business, I feel lucky enough because I try not to schedule appointments before 10:30 because I know that mornings are hard. And if there's a morning that's particularly difficult, then I'm not getting angry at the kids. It's like, it's all right. It's okay. Kids are kids. And so I can allow for that time. And I feel like that really is what has helped me, thrive kind of as a person, right? Whether being a mom, a business owner, or just in myself, is realizing that it's okay and allowing these things to happen. Like, if kids get out late, out the door in the morning, that's okay.
Right. It is that. It is that giving yourself permission to not be perfect and realizing and figuring out what parts of my day are kind of, I have a niece of mine who always says about one of her youngest daughters, like there's a bewitching hour at the end of the day that she knows that they can't really schedule things after this time frame because that's what works for them. And it works different for every family. Some families the morning may run smooth, but it could be that, 5 o'clock dinner time, practice, homework moment that's hard. And so being able to, regardless of what you do as a mother, if you work outside the home, if you stay home with your kids, whatever it is, giving yourself permission to not be perfect and to figure out what works best for you, not what works best for everyone on your Facebook page that has those perfect looking kids all the time. Like you were saying in your head, you're like, why am I the only one that's struggling to get my kids out the door? Look at everybody else's kids. They're so pulled together. No.
Or even like if I, have to work late one night and, I miss dinner, whereas initially I would feel really guilty, bad mom guilt, that I'm not perfect and I'm not doing everything that I should be. But then on the other hand, I'll try to, when things like that come up, I'll try to take off a half a day and I'll spend, half a day with my kids and I'll just, with my little one, he's not in school full time yet. I can just take him out of preschool and go spend the afternoon with him. Sometimes to me now that's balance versus, the alternative.
I think there was somebody, and I don't remember, somebody wrote a blog once about that it's just figuring out, spending quality time wherever you are. So if you're at work, you can spend quality time focused there and not feeling mom guilt. And when you're with your kids, quality time there, not feeling guilt because you're not at the office. Like that is like the true definition. When you get to that place, that is you feel your best. And that's always a good thing. I always get really nervous when people are like, so what do you say about work-life balance? I'm like, well, it's not there. Not. So looking back now, what would you tell your 22-year-old self? I mean, we're past you weren't still trying to sell ice cream to your neighbors. Maybe you
outside
were.
On a sunny day. Yes, with a box of ice cream on the front porch. I would tell myself, it's funny though, tying into that, I would tell myself to trust my gut more.
Yes.
Right. I knew it from when I was little, what I liked and what I was passionate about doing, but it took me a really long time to start the law practice. I was so nervous about doing it. And, it was almost like, before you have kids, you think like everything has to be perfect. But the thing is, if you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll never start. And it was like that with the business. And instead I did a bunch of things that that were not a good fit for me. And in general, whenever I'm doing things that aren't really a good fit, but I think I should do, it almost always ends up being a bad decision. And I should just listen to my gut and trust myself.
Gosh, that's such good advice. And it takes us so long to learn that. But you're right. Like, every time I look back at it, something that I said yes to, that I wasn't feeling it in my gut, it was never right. It was
right. Always.
But you just don't. And you're right about that whole idea that we need to know, somewhere down the line, we feel like we need to know everything in order to make a jump. And again, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
starting a family or starting a business or going back to school or whatever it is, we think we have to have all the answers. And I just was with some young girls, the young Naperville singers. I think I always get either Naperville Young Singers or Young Naperville Singers. So if you're listening, I'm sorry that I keep butchering your name. But I was meeting with these wonderfully, amazingly talented young women. And that was one of the things that I told them is don't be afraid if you don't know. Like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to still move forward and take a chance, even if you don't have all the answers, because you'll figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. I mean, that's what life is all about. But that is, go with your gut and trust yourself. Gosh, if you could go back and tell that 22-year-old self that, it would be amazing.
Right? I
Yeah.
remember this quote really helped me when I was first starting, and I was so nervous. And this woman said, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great."
Great quote. That's
Right?
perfect. Right. That's it. I mean, that is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Oh, I need to put that up in my office and just be reminded of it every single minute of the day. Okay, the last question I ask is always the hardest of all the questions. And because it seems overwhelming. But if there was just a woman, past or present, what woman has inspired you?
I would say my mom is actually a really big inspiration to me.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, she really is. She's quite amazing. Growing up, my mom worked, and I remember looking up to her when I was little, and she was always in these I thought, really cute professional suits, and I always admired her, and she was just, a killer. Like, she went out there and she did amazing in her career, but I always knew that I was number one, no matter what, no matter how important anything was to her. I was her number. She would drop anything. And she's still today, she's just this strong fighter. And after losing my father, she has macular degeneration, and within a month of him passing, she went completely legally blind.
Oh, my.
And she lost her driver's license, and so her independence. And I was really worried about her for a while, but she's always been this fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And she fought through it, and she read somewhere that maybe she could teach herself how to see using her peripheral vision, and she could get a permit type driver's license, and she could drive at least locally so she could get herself to the stores. And she would study like constantly, and me and my husband and my boys were always kind of like, "Oh my gosh, Mom," or like, "Grandma," and she did it. She did
Oh,
it,
my
and she was
goodness.
written about in a newsletter, and for with her disability, and like her eye doctors couldn't even believe it. And now she taught herself to see again using her peripheral vision, and she can drive. And the first couple doctors she went to told her that it wasn't a possibility. She couldn't, but she believed she could, and she knew somebody out there did it, so she was going to do it. And she's just an amazing inspirational to me.
That is an amazing story. Wow. What a great woman. Like, even back in the day when you knew that, like, I love, because she said that even though she was super successful and she's out there doing what she needs to do, you never for a minute doubted that you were her priority. And
Yep, absolutely.
I would love every mother out there that is, hustling it with a career, to know that you can be successful at a career and still be a great mom. It's not an either or position. And gosh. And that last thing when you were saying, she believed she could.
Mm-hmm.
That is so key to most things that we do in this world. Like, if we believe it internally, we can do it.
I know. Isn't that the truth?
God.
Yeah. She's definitely she's a fighter, and yeah, she's So I can't help but be inspired by her.
For sure. We all should. I really want to meet her now. Like, she's the very definition of perseverance. Like, just knowing that, hearing that at least one person was able to figure that out, she's going to do that.
Yep.
And that is, gosh, and I've never even heard of being able to learn to see with your peripheral vision. That in and of itself.
It's amazing, right? I feel like most people, including myself, if I had just lost my spouse that I've been married to for 20 something years, and now I lost my vision and I would just kind of feel defeated and want to just give up on life. And instead of doing that, she's done the opposite. Then on top of it, she moved to this 55 plus community where she knew nobody, but she forced herself to go out, and now she's got all these activities and friends, and I'm just, I'm so proud of her.
That you should be. That is such a great story. And what an inspiration she is. That is, gosh, that's so wonderful. I love, that is like my favorite question that I ask, is that who inspires you? Because it just makes me get so inspired by all these amazing women that have been doing it
I could see that.
long before we were doing it. They were, I just imagine your mom in those like power suits of the 80s, with the shoulder pads and the
shoulder pads for days. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember getting my first suit, like with my first real job, and it was like 1991. And I look back now at those pictures and I'm like, you've got to be kidding. But I thought I was so, like, that was it. I was going to go out and take on the world with these shoulder pads.
That's awesome.
That's so great. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for
thank you
today, and for doing all that you do for the families of Chicagoland, because that is, they need that support and that cheerleader when they're going through things that aren't so great, and you guys really do such a great job of that.
Oh, thanks, Patty.
And have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.